Hello and welcome to October's podcast for the news from around the Norfolk and Suffolk Broads. Instead of chatting directly to camera, which as you all know hasn't gone according to plan the last couple of months, I have decided to use a selection of videos, photographs that I have taken purely throughout the month of October. Some you may recognise, some you may not, but all of them have been used through my two channels on YouTube. Broadland Police joined with the Norfolk Fire and Rescue Services prevention team to visit residents moored at Thorpe Island along the waterways. They walked around Thorpe Island chatting to the residents about crime prevention and fire safety alarms, as well as any local issues. An episode of the BBC show Escape to the Country has been filmed on the Norfolk-Suffolk border. The Locks Inn near Gorleston was one of the places the team was seen filming at. It was filmed back in April, but shown on TV on October the 6th. A powerboater took an unauthorized test at Lothing Broad. Officials are investigating after a powerboater was caught speeding across Lothing Broad. The competitor at Lowestoft and Lothing Broad Motorboat Club was seen racing along the water in the late hours of September the 9th. The incident is being investigated. Several beauty spots on the Norfolk and Suffolk Broads were closed ahead of Storm Amy's arrival. Winds of 65 miles per hour were predicted ahead of the storm. The Broads Authority reported after the storm that fallen trees were blocking the rivers Bure and Chet. Cane Meadow, close to Wroxham, had multiple trees blocking the full width of the river. There was also a report of a fallen tree on the River Chet between Hardley Cross and Chedgrave Common. Gorleston Inshore Lifeboat was called to a hire craft that had made contact with Breydon Bridge due to the high winds. Both the boat and its occupants were all safe and no damage was done to the bridge. After this incident, the Broads Authority announced that Breydon Water was closed to hire craft due to the poor weather conditions. The Broads Authority have a vacancy for a project support officer to join their construction, maintenance and ecology section. The Environment Agency issued flood warnings to the River Yare due to Storm Amy. An update to the fallen trees was given by the Broads Authority. Cane Meadow was partially clear and vessels could now pass with caution. Any photos that appeared online of the flooding I reposted to my YouTube Facebook page. Great Yarmouth, Heigham, Sotshole Fen Nature Reserve, Brundle, Great Yarmouth Yacht Station and Lothing Broad were all places that I found photos of severe flooding. There may have been other places, I just didn't spot those particular photos. Dead fish were reported at Thurn due to a salt surge. Beccles, St Benet's, Heigham all had dead fish. The Environment Agency reported that the saline barrier at Heigham would be raised to help the fish escape the salt in the water. The Broads Authority announced that the fallen trees on the River Chet had been cleared, but that there were still large stems remaining. Larger equipment was needed to complete the work. A father and son who own illegal static caravans at the Beecham Arms pub have been fined more than £65,000 after a prolonged and bitter dispute about static caravans. St Olaves Marina Limited was ordered to pay over £7,000 after a serious hand injury suffered during a boat lifting operation at the site. It happened in May 2023 and resulted in the amputation of a man's finger. The workboat was being raised using a telehandler. The telehandler's forks crushed the man's hand, leading to amputation of a finger. After an investigation by the Health and Safety Executive, it was established staff had not received the appropriate training. The marina also failed to implement suitable risk control measures. During Storm Amy, the Great Yarmouth and Gorleston Lifeboat was called to Lake Lothing in Lowestoft to a boat adrift with 2 teenagers on board. The boat was located and the occupants had managed to moor up safely before the lifeboat got there. A shooting seat was found in a protected wetland area in Catfield Fen. It's raised fears of illegal deer shooting and poaching in the village's protected wetlands. Police are investigating. Broadland Police found a sailing dinghy in a lay-by on the A1151, Roxham Road. It has a white hull and a blue top. Hemsby Broad's rescue was asked to attend Rockland St Mary Broad to search for a vulnerable male. After a thorough search and updates about the individual's movements, they were stood down and returned to base. The Broads Authority have a vacancy for a Partnership Development Officer. Further details about this post can be found on the Broads Authority website. Norfolk Wildlife Trust have announced that they've bought, now is it Sotshole or is it Sotshole Broad? Just south of Ranworth. I think it's probably Sotshole, but feel free to correct me and tell me the correct pronunciation. Previously privately owned and restored over decades. If you've ever walked along the public footpath between Panksworth Church Ruin to Ranworth or vice versa, you will have passed this broad and you will have seen there's beehives there as well. Well, there was when I went. I have filmed it in the past, but a very long time ago. I filmed it from the footpath and from the road. For now, until the Norfolk Wildlife Trust have made paths for unsupervised access, it won't be open until spring 2026. Early reports suggest bird flu may be back on the Norfolk Broads. 2 swans were found in Heigham, dead, and I believe tests are being carried out on them presently to determine whether it is avian flu. The Nippy Chippy fish and chip shop in Heigham had a fire, so they had to close, but they are now reopened. Cox's Boatyard in Barton Turf are advertising 2 jobs, one for a workshop manager and the other vacancy is for a marine engineer. Have a look on their website for further details. Storm Benjamin is in full-blown mode as I record this podcast for you. Winds of 55 miles an hour are predicted, along with lots of rain. Stay safe out there, everyone. And once we know what all the damage is, if there's been any, I'll get back and record another little piece about it for you. The Broads Authority have announced that due to Storm Benjamin, Breydon Water is presently closed. By the time you watch this, though, Storm Benjamin will be long gone. The Broads Authority have announced that on Monday the 27th of October, the installation of a new canoe pontoon will be taking place at Stalham Staithe. The Broads Authority have put a post out for people on the water during half-term week, but obviously it applies to every week of the year. They say to remember that life jackets save lives. On Saturday, the 25th of October, flood alerts were issued for the River Yare at Heigham, Cantley and Brundle. I drove over to Heigham Riverside to have a look and see if there was any flooding. At one point, I thought the mooring posts were going to be totally underwater. Until I went to leave, I hadn't realised that the water had actually gone into the road where Sanderson's former boatyard used to be. Following on from yesterday's floods along the River Yare, 24 hours later, it's now been given a flood warning for St Olaves down to Beccles and all of the northern Broads as well. 75,000 fish have been rescued after recent storms sent a salt surge through the Norfolk Broads river waterways. Storms Amy and Benjamin pushed high levels of salt water into the rivers Ant, Bure and Thurn. This led to hundreds of dead fish being spotted along the Broads. The Environment Agency has now confirmed staff recovered 75,000 fish to safe waters. The National Trust have said that Horsey Wind Pump Cafe is temporarily based in a trailer while the cafe is being rethatched. It will take 5 weeks to do the work. Opening times remain the same. Loddon Staithe car park is to temporarily close for tree maintenance works. This is from the 5th to the 7th of November. Will Hurricane Melissa, currently in the Caribbean, impact weather in Norfolk this week? Well, the Met Office say there is a chance, but it doesn't look very likely. However, the system could help maintain the already unsettled conditions already affecting the UK after Storm Benjamin. It battered Norfolk with 55-mile-per-hour winds last Thursday. This concludes this month's news for the Norfolk Broads. Thank you for listening.